Hello and welcome to this Modurol video. Today we're going to talk about prop shafts, in particular the prop shafts on the Jaguar XK8 XKR X100 from 1996 to 2005. In this particular video we're going to share with you all the difference in prop shafts that are available through those models, why I'm actually removing my prop shaft and swapping it for a different type, and I'll actually show you how I've removed my single piece prop shaft off my 1996 4-litre XK8. Okay, the different types of prop shafts that were available. So first of all, when the car was originally launched, the car came with a single piece prop shaft like this. I'll show you a bit of a slide in a minute with the part numbers, etc. That was for 4-litre cars. When Jaguar launched the XKR, they actually changed to this type of prop shaft. It's a two-piece prop shaft with a support bearing in the middle. It was a combination of needing to have a different length prop because the gearbox was a different length, but also a little bit meatier to handle the greater torque coming from the supercharger. Then finally Jaguar moved to the 4-litre cars, and both the XK8 and the XKR shared the same gearbox, so the prop shaft remained the same. Again, this was a two-piece type, but a slightly different length once again. Both types of drive shaft have an element of adjustability. You can see here there's a portion of the single-piece drive shaft that's telescopic. This will move out about 2.5 inches. Similarly, on the two-piece drive shaft, there's this spline area. Just take that cover off. Now this again is adjustable up to 2.5 inches. The specification of the spline used on the two-piece, on the 4.2 litre car anyway, is a 26 spline with this wider master spline, and the diameter is about 1 1/8 or 28 millimeters in diameter. I'll put them both together now, together with the cover, and this will actually act as a slip joint. One thing that's worth mentioning as well is the mating surfaces. So this is the gearbox end where the Jurid coupling is mounted. This is 3 bolts, trilobe. These are M12 bolts. And at the diff end, you've got 4 bolts pattern. There's no Jurid coupling this end, and these are M10 with M10 bolts with lock nuts. That type of bolting is shared throughout the X100 range. Now, so why am I changing then from my single prop on my XK8 to the 4.2 litre prop? Well, it's actually down to the fact that this 6 HP26 transmission, the length of that is identical on the ZF S653 gearbox at 25 inches. So in order to make this 18.25 inch driveline with the X653, you can actually use the 4.2 litre two-piece drive shaft to make that distance up correctly. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. One of the complexities I have had to address with moving from the one-piece or a single-piece 4-litre prop to the 4.2 litre twin-piece is this support bearing and actually how it's bolted up. So on the early 4-litre cars, the actual handbrake plate or mount is actually only about this big. You'll see it in the video of me removing it. It's only a very short piece, but the Jaguar created this massive longer plate in order to mount the prop shaft bearing. Sorry, I've had to buy that off a XKR scrap one in order to mount this new prop shaft bearing. So what I'll do now, I'll show you quickly how I removed the single piece prop on my XK8. In order to remove the drive shaft to diff bolts, you need a 17mm spanner on the nut and a 13 on the bolt. and just quietly undo the bolts. You can't get a ring span around the nut, it's too close to the shaft, but you can get the C-spanner in and just quietly undo it. It's a bit of a two-handed job. Once I've undone these two bolts, I'll actually spin the drive shaft by jacking up one wheel and just moving one wheel enough to rotate the drive shaft to reveal the other two bolts. So I'm using a Nielsen trolley jack. I've had to extend it slightly. I've welded plates to extend this side to side so it fits nicely on the pan. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so the jack's in place. I've chained the front and the back of the gearbox, and we're now supporting the weight of the gearbox with... Okay, in order to move the transmission mount, I need a T50 Torx for the central bolt, and then T40s for the four bracket to body bolts, and then the whole bracket should come off. Okay, I've got the gearbox mount off, and then that reveals. So I'm going to remove the three silver bolts here, and I'm using a 19mm socket and 19mm spanner with a breaker bar, and obviously once I've got that started, I'll use a ratchet. So I'll get all these three off. In order to rotate the drive shaft, I've jacked up one corner of the rear, so I'm going to spin the tyre. Obviously that'll rotate the drive shaft so I can access the next nut. Now the drive shaft bolts are undone, I'm just levering the drive shaft off the end of the gearbox spigot there, coming out of the gearbox output shaft, and the adjustment in length of the drive shaft is taken up here. This is actually a sliding joint. I've moved it a good inch there, and there's still another inch or so left. Okay, I've actually got my hands behind this and actually pulled it all the way back. The drive shaft now is at its lowest, or it's its shortest length, and we're completely disengaged. Okay, so I've undone the bolts at the diff end, just left a nut on there just to stop this falling off. This handbrake bracket is actually fouling getting it off. We're off at the gearbox end. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to loosen this bracket out of the way to get the drive shaft off. It's not needed to change the gearbox, but I'm swapping out the drive shaft anyway. And I've got to add the intermediate prop shaft bearing with a new support plate. When removing the the prop shaft from the diff, it's not a good practice to mark the position so you can put it back the same way. I've had this off previously, so you can see I've got a line on the diff here and a hole punched here, so that's how it was previously assembled. At the output of the gearbox end, it's good practice to do the same. So I'm going to mark this with the paint pen as to which bolt goes to which. It's best practice to do this before you take it apart, but I haven't rotated the prop shaft or the gearbox, so I'm pretty safe. To remove the handbrake bracket, I'm using a T40 Torx bit. I'm going to remove these four bolts first. I'll actually flop out of position, and then I'm going to remove the drive shaft and just put this back temporarily. Okay, the bolts are out, so I'm just going to get that to flop out the way, and I should give access to remove the prop. So I'm just going to undo that securing nut that's holding the prop up. Put that safely to one side. Move it forward. Should just drop down out of the way. Right. Okay. The prop shaft is out. So there you go. That's it for that video. I hope you found that interesting. Sorry it got a little bit techie. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'm going to crack on with a bit more of our conversion, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.